Ladies and gentlemen, please welcome Steve Gilliland.
In Lubbock, Texas, I walk into a Taco Bell one night, and the kid behind the counter says this to me as I walk in. Sup? I said, what's up? He said, you need something. I said, I want a beef burrito, but I'm worried. He said, about what? I said, I don't think you have the energy to pull it off. You know what he said to me? He said he was burned out. I said, you're not burned out. He said, how do you know? I said, I don't think you've ever been lit. Love what you do. Never forget why you do it. And enjoy who you do it with. Let me share this with you. You impact a lot of people. When you work in concert, you impact a lot of people. But the only way to make a difference is to make sure you never lose your passion for what you do. He said, I could smell those sheets. He said, I could smell all that foo-foo on them. I go, what foo-foo? I don't know what foo-foo. Whatever she sprinkles on them, make them smell good. I go, here's a revelation. It ain't foo-foo, it's called Downy. He said, whatever it was, man, I had a mini speaker man on my shoulder going, tell her, 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 tell her. He said, I leaned over and kissed her on the cheek, and I told her maybe it's not as eloquent as you would have. But he said, I'll tell you what, when I heard her laying there just kind of crying to herself, I thought I had either done the right thing or I'm going to find you and kill you. He said 3 days later, I was walking by a laundry room, and my wife of 19 years had tears coming down both cheeks. When I looked and said, are you all right? She said, Brian, I've never been better. She said, Brian, these are happy tears. Let me confess something, Brian. For 19 years, I've done the laundry because I thought I had to. Today is the first time in 19 years I've done this laundry because I want to. Every leader in this room, listen to my voice. You will know you've arrived in leadership. You will know you've arrived as a person who can inspire commitment and orchestrate alignment when people follow you because they want to, not because they believe they have to. I was speaking in Seattle, Washington. Several thousand people in attendance, but the man who would steal my heart and the man that I owe a lot of gratitude to would come up to me afterwards. I had never written the book at that moment. The book wasn't even a part of my thought process. He looked at me and he said, as he held my hand, he never let go, and he said, young man, I wish I'd have heard you 31 years ago. I said, how so? He said, 31 years ago, my wife passed away. He said, both of my daughters live on the East Coast. He said, young man, I'm 97 years old. He said, you know how many times on the way to work, instead of enjoying the ride to work, I was too busy thinking about what I had to do when I got there? He said, young man, you know how many times I ate lunch, and instead of enjoying lunch, I was too busy thinking about what I had to do after lunch? A tear came down his cheek. He said, young man, you know how many times I sat at dinner with my beautiful wife, who's no longer on this earth, and those two beautiful daughters who live 3,000 miles away? He said, you know how many times I sat at dinner, instead of enjoying those moments, I was too busy thinking about what I had to do after dinner? He looked at me and he said, both tears. Young man, I'm 97. He said, please never stop telling the audience to live that moment. Because he said, I've lived my life 30 minutes ahead. And he said, I can't go back. I looked at that, and on the flight home from Seattle back to Pittsburgh, I actually wrote those 3 words, enjoy the ride. Then I would write a question. Below that, I wrote, and I still have the original piece of paper, where I wrote, are you? Question mark. See, it's not about what you own. It's not about what you have and where you live and what you drive. What it simply is about, do you wake up in the morning, love what you do, have the passion to do it, and enjoy the people around you, and really savor those moments? I took an entire walk back through that back dressing room. I actually, just to say I did it, pressed off my sport coat on Tony Danza's ironing board. Year-olds with me in Pasadena, Texas. I'm speaking in front of about 4,000 teachers, and I said this. I said, Alex, do me a favor. Sit down front. Don't say anything. He says, okay, Poppy. He sit down front. Now, I always ask this, and since you're all in leadership, I'll just ask this. I said, define leadership in one word. If you can define leadership in one word for me, and it's the word that I have defined it as, I will sign a copy of my book, Enjoy the Ride. It's yours at no cost. No one ever gets it. Except the teacher that day in the front row said, influence. I turned and I was like shocked. And I'm thinking to myself, man, this is going to be a sharp group. Until I walked away and heard Alex say to that teacher, stick with me, I've got all his answers. Phone rings at the party that I'm at. It is my oldest son, Stephen. He's calling me from his girlfriend's house where he watched the game. I said, Stephen, what's going on? He said, Dad, are you watching the post-game show commercials? And I said, Stephen, that's stupid. I said, I'm not even connecting the dots. And he said, Dad, keep watching the commercials. I'll call you back in 5 minutes, and I'll guarantee you that for the rest of your life, you will tell what happens. I go, what? He said, I can't tell you. I said, where are you at? He said, I'm still at Sarah's. Hangs up. 5 minutes later, he calls back. If you've got children, if this happened to you, I would love to see your reaction. When he called back, the people at the party are trying to get my attention. As I'm looking at the television, I can see my son in the background of a nationally televised commercial on 7-second tape delay, while his girlfriend's mother is receiving a check for $10 million from Publishers Clearinghouse. Yeah, and he says to me, Dad, isn't it cool? I said, yeah. He said, what do I do? I said, marry her. He said, I'm in high school. I said, it'll work. Last time I was at McDonald's, I hear this. I tell you what, Early. Now, you know what's even funnier than you laughing? You order. You have no idea what they said. You're just going to go ahead and order, right? And you know, you get in these places when they're not enjoying the ride, you got to help them enjoy the ride. Do what I do. I had Alex, my stepson, last year I'm going to speak at the Grove Park Inn, all right? Now, he could not go with me, or my wife couldn't go with me. And I like to have somebody, if it's a large event like this, to be with me. I've got a wireless credit card machine. Alex says to me, Poppy, I'll go with you. I'll run the machine. I go, cool, you're in. He said, when do we leave? And I said, well, I want to leave early. I want to get there early. He goes, okay, we're driving across Interstate 40. You got a visual of this? From Winston-Salem, North Carolina, over to Asheville. Halfway there, he says, Poppy. I said, what, bud? He goes, can we stop McDonald's? I said, sure, what's so funny? He said, will you do that thing at the drive-thru you do if the person doesn't have passion? I said, okay, bud, I'll do it. So the way over to Grove Park Inn, I'm like, Lord, just give me someone that's passionate, because I want to do this for fun of Alex, right? Oh, no, we pull into Morganton, North Carolina. McDonald's. Kid goes, Alex over there. So I gave him an order. I said, yeah, I want a chicken fried to go. He comes back. He said, I didn't understand what you said. Get bridge your order. I said, yeah, I want a chicken fried to go. He said, pull around. There's something wrong with the speaker. I pull around. I'll always remember Alex is now on the floor in the car going. I said, we're going all the way. Kid says, sorry about that, man. What do you need? Something on the headset. I said, I want a chicken fried to go. Alex said, go, go, go. We pull out. We're sitting in the middle of the parking lot with no food. I said, Alex, what are we doing? Hey, the words of a 12-year-old, the wisdom. I said, what are we doing out here? We have no food. He said, Poppy, I might be only 12, but I do know this. If the person packing our food doesn't think you're funny, I'm not eating it. Just so you leave on a funny note, he then said to me, speaker man, she grabbed a big old blue jug of something, poured it in the lid, threw it in the washing machine, looked at me and said, big boy, you get a second cap full today. Thank you so much, and God bless. Thank you so much, and God bless. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. Have a great conference.